Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Sri Prabhupada. All glories to our beloved speaker for today, His Grace ARADHYA Bhagavan Prabhu. And all glories to the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Today is Thursday, the 11th day of December 2025. And we are very much blessed. We have His Grace ARADHYA Bhagavan Prabhu, who will be speaking to us from the Nectarian Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, Prabhuji is speaking from India. So we're going to be conscious of the time. It's quite late his time. So we try to stay on course. Prabhuji, thank you. We've missed you for a couple of months. But we're happy to have you here this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we may put the verse on the screen and you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishti. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter number 14, Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening, verse number 47. Yat prasadat idam vishwa prasiddhati yad atmakam saswadrik bhagavan yasya toshyate ananyaya drishya. So please repeat after me. Yat prasadat idam vishvam prasiddhati yat atmakam
Prasiddhati yat atmakam
tasvadrik bhagavan yasya
Saswadrik Bhagavan Yasya
toshyate nanyaya drisha.
Toshyate Nanyaya Drisha
Yat prasadat idam vishvam
Yat Prasadadidam Vishwam
prasiddhati yat atmakam
Prasiddhati Yat Atmakam
tasvadrik bhagavan yasya
Saswadrik Bhagavan Yasya
toshyate nanyaya drisha.
Toshyate Nanyaya Drisha
Yat prasadat idam vishvam
Yat Prasadadidam Vishwam
prasiddhati yat atmakam
Prasiddhati Yat Atmakam
tasvadrik bhagavan yasya
Saswadrik Bhagavan Yasya
toshyate nanyaya drisha.
Toshyate Nanyaya Drisha
Yat prasadat idam vishvam
Yat Prasadat Idam Vishwam
prasiddhati yat atmakam
Prasiddhati Yat Atmakam
tasvadrik bhagavan yasya
Saswadrik Bhagavan Yasya
toshyate nanyaya drisha.
Toshyate Nanyaya Drisha.
Matajis. Okay, I'll move into word by word translation. Word for word translation synonyms. Yet, by whose. Prasadat, mercy of. Ida, this. Vishwa, universe. Prasiddhati, becomes happy. Yat, whose Atmakam, because of his own importance. Sa, Swadrik, taking special care of his devotees. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality. Yes, yeah. Toshyate becomes pleased. Ananyaya, without deviation. Drishya, intelligence. Translation. Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. Purport. The supreme personality of Godhead is situated everywhere as the supersoul. And he can dictate to anyone and everyone as he likes. That would be grandson of deity who was predicted to be a great devotee would be liked by everyone, even by the enemies of his father, because he would have no other vision besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure devotee of the Lord sees the presence of his worshipable Lord everywhere. The Lord reciprocates in such a way that all living entities in whom the Lord is dwelling as the super soul also, like a pure devotee, because the Lord is present in their hearts and can dictate to them to be friendly to his devotee. There are many instances in history wherein even the most ferocious animal became friendly to a pure devotee of the Lord. Let's do the Mangalacharana prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Pandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamascha Sri Rupam Sarvajatam Sangana Raghunatham Vidam Tvam Sa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagna Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namah हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपति गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचल निभ्यासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यं जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरोर्दिनतारिणं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं परमानन्द माधवम् पादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिचारुस्वामिते नामे Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I hope I am loud and clear.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, this particular verse, it made me think a lot of things. Everyone will be pleased with him because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. This particular line, who does not wish for anything beyond him, is very, very significant. Very recently, I was talking on a podcast show. That's a Bengali podcast, and somebody asked me, "Sir, what should we pray?" This was the question they asked. What should we pray? So I referred to the incident from Mahabharata where Arjuna and Duryodhan both go to meet the Lord just before Kurukshetra to beg for his assistance, for his help in the battle of Kurukshetra, to take his side, to make him an ally, hmm, to kind of convince him to join their sides. And the most beautiful thing about that particular incident is both of the people who went, both of them got exactly what they wanted. Both of them got exactly what they wanted. And the justice of the Lord lies in the fact that Krishna gave both of them exactly what they wanted, but the battle turned out to be what Krishna wanted. It's such a confusing thing I'm telling you, right? So the story goes like this, that Krishna was lying down, he was sleeping, and Arjuna and Duryodhana, they went to meet him before he woke up because they were instructed that whoever Krishna sees first, he will get the first right to ask. And Duryodhan sits near his head and Krishna towards his feet, you know. First of all, showing the arrogance of Duryodhan and the humility of Arjuna. And then, most importantly, what happens is finally Arjuna wakes up and says that I will not fight this war. I am not interested in this war. I will not fight in this war. So one of you can take me where I will not fight, I will do nothing, I will remain inactive in this war, just like Paramatma is in our heart only observing and guiding us from inside, Paramatma conviction. But he is, in a large way, he's kind of inactive there, he's more an active observer, right? So in the Kurukshetra war, Krishna decided to be more Paramatma types, right? And then he says that his whole strength, his whole glory, his whole power, which lies in his Narayani Sena, the army of the Narayani warriors, which was supposed to be, or not supposed to be, which still is the greatest army, the most glorified army in the world, or in the whole of creation, so to speak. So you have to either choose his power or you have to choose Krishna. And we both know, and we all know that Duryodhan chose Krishna's power because he went for the Krishna's army, right? His whole objective was to get the army so that he can win the war. So he actually got what he wanted. And Arjuna also got what he wanted because he wanted Krishna's presence. He was not thinking in terms of Krishna being the supreme commander of the Narayani Sena. You know, he wanted his dear cousin, his elder brother, his friend, his guide to be with him. He did not want a situation where, like the rest of his family members on whom he'll have to be, you know, taking an aim with his bow and arrow, he did not want Krishna in front of his bow and arrow on the other side. That's all he wanted, right? He just wanted his friend with him. He was not thinking in terms of how many Narayani Sena they have. You know, that was Arjuna's mentality. So both of them essentially got what they wanted. But the outcome of the battle was exactly how Krishna wanted. Because it's Dharma Kshetra, you know. Everybody who stood for Adharma was finished. And everybody who chose Krishna was left victorious. Right? So this is this unique, mysterious way in which Krishna gives us exactly what we want all the time, but with a nice twist. A twist we cannot even imagine. Only Krishna can play that twist, you know, because he is the supreme controller. He knows all the twists and turns in this great engineering marvel called the universe or the creation. You know, many people keep asking me, Prabhuji, how does karma cycle work? And I keep telling them every time you hit a mosquito, in your next birth, you will be a mosquito and the mosquito will be a human being and the mosquito will swat you. If you think this is how karma works, then start counting the number of mosquitoes you have already killed. So it is not how karma works. Karma works in a great, complicated machinery, which perhaps only Krishna is aware of, you know. And maybe Brahma knows because he built it, but I'm sure Brahma doesn't know how to, you know, escape from it. Or maybe he does, but he too is quite engaged with the three gunas. But the point here is, what do devotees pray for? We as human beings, we go to Krishna, we go to the temple, and we are always praying for ourselves. We are praying for some material benefit. And the most interesting thing about, you know, being in bhakti for a larger period of time, when unless you are completely surrendered in service of Guru Gauranga, in completely engrossed your mind in reading Shastras, and you are very carefully, you are engaging your mind, your body, your senses through the purificatory process of seva or service or devotional service. Let's use the word devotional service. You know, if you are not engaging yourself adequately under the instruction of Guru, what we see is that many times, many seniors in Krishna consciousness, in bhakti, eventually they start complaining about everything that is happening around them. And they will maybe going to Krishna and saying, oh my God, my temple president is like this. Please change my temple president. Oh Krishna, why is the zonal secretary not listening to me? Please give him some intelligence. So we are finding faults and we are trying to change our situation. You know, such things always come into our minds. And the more senior we are, the more such things come to us. And that happens when we are not completely engrossed in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. When we are not adequately hearing, we are not adequately reading, we are not chanting, we are not adequately engaged in devotional service. Because our mind, our senses are not getting purified. Our mind and our senses are getting more and more practiced to enjoy more and more. Whatever you practice, you end up doing that, right? So we have to keep practicing every day to chant, to serve, so that our senses can, we as human beings, we as a Jivatma can somehow, someday in the future, come out of this material bondage that we are all facing right now. Because otherwise, we will all be praying like Duryodhan. We are asking Krishna for his intervention through his power, right? We are all asking Krishna for his power. So, in a way, we are like Duryodhan. We are asking Krishna for his Narayani Sena. One very important aspect of Krishna consciousness. I make this joke, maybe many people may, oppose me for saying this, but this is a kind of a joke I make that, are we International Society for Krishna consciousness? I don't think we are International Society for Krishna consciousness. I think we are International Society for Narsimha consciousness. You know, because most people you will see they are greater devotees of Narsimha than they are of Lord Gauranga. For every small things, they will just have a Narsimha Kavach and Narsimha Yagya and Narsimha, which is good. Narsimha is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He is not a demigod. So there is nothing wrong in it. But Narsimha's mood, the mood is very different, right? We are Gauriya Vaishnavas. Our mood is to serve Lord Gauranga. That is our mood. Our Ishtadev, our Lord, our worshipable deity, our Aradhya Bhagavan is Lord Gauranga, not even Krishna, so to speak. Theoretically, obviously, Aradhya Bhagavan Brajeshatanaya Dhama Vrindavanam. We know that from Chaitanya Chaitamrita. Theoretically speaking, we know that Krishna is God and we are servants of the Lord, but in reality, we don't even care who is Krishna. Gauriya Vaishnava should not worry about Krishna. We don't want Krishna. We are not interested in Krishna. We are interested in being favorably engaged by Radharani. That is the mood of Gauriya Vaishnava, no? That we have to be favorably engaged in some service by Radharani. So Radharani has to be happy with us. If Radharani is happy with us through the Guru Parampara, then Krishna will be happy with us, On the contrary, if we are always running behind Krishna and Radharani is not engaging us, then it will not work. It will simply not work, right? So, I make this joke about this Narsimha consciousness because in this Narsimha consciousness, we are always like, we are fearful, we are wanting some protections, and most often, those protections are for material protections, Somebody is not happy, somebody is not healthy, somebody is having some issues, things which are generally controlled by our planetary systems, right? Through our astrology. Many years ago, I was in Kuwait and I did a house program, and in that house program, somebody, one devotee, the one devotee over there, a couple, husband wife, they kind of confronted me, so to speak. So they said that, oh, my Guru Maharaj said that we devotees, we do not need to do the samskaras. I think I've said the same thing on this channel also and previously, but I don't recall because I've been so many times I've come on this channel. But anyways, I'll speak about it again. So, they confronted me and they said that, oh, my Guru Maharaj said that we don't need samskaras. Devotees don't need samskaras. Devotees don't need to uh, work with astrology. We don't need to worry about our planetary systems. Lord Narasimhadev will protect us. Krishna will protect us. And my answer to them was, to anyone who takes this argument, is that yes, it is absolutely true. What Guru Maharaj has said is 100% true. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, right? It's 100% true. For a devotee, these material calculations of the material bond does not apply, right? But am I a devotee? The question comes there, am I a devotee? If I am thinking that yes, I have become a devotee, so I don't need to worry about the planet Saturn or how the moon planet will affect me, and I am thinking that I am a greater devotee than Chandra Dev or Indra Dev or Surya Dev, all these demigods, then that is my arrogance. That is not my devotional surrenderance, right? So this is something that we have to understand every moment. We have to understand this every moment, that anyone who has completely surrendered himself to Krishna consciousness, to the lotus feet of the Lord, for him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will act. You know, Krishna will become more powerful. Krishna will take up the weapon, just as we saw in case of the Kurukshetra war. The same Krishna who said that, I shall not fight, who promised not to fight, but when it came to stopping Bhishma Dev, he did not even think once, before breaking his own word for protecting the devotee, you know. So at that moment, the Paramatma became very, very active, The Paramatma became active. He became a warrior at that point of time, until Arjuna reminded him. So the same thing we can see is written in this purport, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead will start dictating other living entities, because he is there in their hearts as well. He'll start dictating other living entities to kind of, to to be friendly with his own devotee, right? So that is a kind of way where Paramatma, we know Paramatma never does anything, right? Paramatma is the silent observer. But here we see that Prabhupada is writing Paramatma will take an active role in how life pans out for us, right? But that active role can only happen when, we become a devotee, right? The most important part is, the question over here is, am I a devotee? That is where it all boils down to. Am I a devotee? Have I been able to be a devotee? Am I sincerely a devotee? You know, or am I a temple president? There's this fundamental difference, no? Am I a devotee or am I a temple president? Right? I mean, if there are any temple presidents over here, please forgive me. I'm not kind of pointing fingers at any of you. I'm just trying to say that, posts and positions are sometimes, dancing on top of our heads. There's this joke that, there's this one person, he died, and he went back to the spiritual world, and at the gates, he was stopped, and they asked him that, you've never been inside, right? So you need a tour. So this person said, yes, I need a tour of the place so that, I need to know where everything is. I need a tour guide, because I'm going to now stay here for eternity, right? So the tour guide took him in, and they started showing him around that, this is the place where Krishna will be dancing with his gopis and this and that. Now, please don't ask me, if the spiritual world is eternal, then why Krishna was not done dancing with his gopis at that point of time. I don't know the answer to that. But anyways, so he was giving him a nice tour that, this lila happens here, that lila happened there, this is this place, that is that place. So all these kinds of tours were happening, and then suddenly they saw there's a huge wall. There's like a walled area inside the spiritual world. So this person asked the tour guide, what is inside that wall? So the tour guide said, inside that is where all the ISKCON devotees will stay, because they think that the spiritual world is their personal property. They are the proprietor of the spiritual world. So all ISKCON devotees are rolled up in there. So anyway, these are jokes. I'm not making fun of ISKCON. I'm just kind of saying that we need to do a reality check in ourselves. Whether I'm a ISKCON devotee, or whether I am a temple president, or whether I am a zonal secretary, or I am a congregation leader, or I am this and I'm that. Whether I am a devotee. Am I a devotee? Have I been able to be a devotee? With what mood am I waking up? With what mood am I approaching other entities? Right? Sometimes within our Krishna consciousness movement, because within the seven principles, in the seven principles of ISKCON, Prabhupada does not talk about making hospitals and schools, those kinds of activities, right? Those kinds of activities Prabhupada doesn't talk about. Prabhupada talks instead about building temples and communities and things like that, right? So we started to feel that, helping other people is not Krishna consciousness. Helping people is not Krishna consciousness. Only selling books at traffic guards, which we call book distribution, is Krishna consciousness. But, while selling books, if I find somebody sitting on the corner of the road and, that person is thirsty, giving him a glass of water is not Krishna consciousness. Right? So sometimes we make these mistakes because we have that arrogance in our heart. Oh, I will offer water to Krishna in my temple, but I will not help these human beings. Jasmin Tushta Jagat Tushta, I will water the root. I will water the deities. And that is why, because Shastra is saying that Jasmin Tushta Jagat Tushta. So I will offer water to my deity, and this person over here will get water. But the reality is it does not work that way, no? The reality is we have become sadhus. We have taken the path of devotional life, right? Our heart needs to be very soft. It has to be as tender as a lotus, right? So our responsibility at those points of time is to be very soft with people around us so that people are touched by our behavior. The moment any outsider, not outsider, I mean, who does not have an experience of Krishna consciousness, the moment they come in touch with us, they should see, how kind we are, how loving we are, and they will want to take more association with us, right? And that is how you make devotees. You make more and more devotees. I mean, if you ask me personally, I mean, I don't know about your experiences. I mean, please correct me if I am wrong, but my experience tells me Nobody becomes a devotee because you have defeated him in a debate. I don't think anybody has ever become a devotee of ISKCON because he was defeated in a debate. And he was insulted in a debate. He badly felt defeated and insulted after a debate where he may have taken a very opposing view. Maybe he have taken a very Mayavad view, and we have shastrically proven to him that yes, Mayavad is the wrong philosophy and Achinta Bheda Bhed is the right philosophy. I don't think anyone becomes a devotee like that. My understanding is everybody who becomes a devotee, they become a devotee because their lives have been touched by the sweetness and softness of association of some devotee or the other. And of course, Prabhupada's book is a very big thing, but ultimately it is an association that makes devotees. So association is the most powerful tool of preaching. The association is the most powerful tool of preaching, and so we have to be very, very careful when we are giving our association or when we are taking our association, because that association is what will take this movement to greater heights, right? There is no other way we can take ourselves to greater heights. You cannot be walking into a senior government officer's office, or maybe the prime minister or president of your country, and expect to defeat him in a debate about the supremacy of the Vaishnava philosophy, and then expect that next day morning your whole country will become a Vaishnava country. You cannot expect that. I can give it to you in writing, it will never work. If you do that, what will happen is ISKCON will get banned in your country, right? On the contrary, if you stand with your government, with your people, with your community, when they need you the most, right? As for whatever humanitarian work it is, whether it is education, whether it is medical, whether it is financial, whether it is food, whether it is hunger, or whatever, if you stand with them in their time of need, they will definitely want more of your association, and through your association they can come to Krishna consciousness. So that is something we have to be very, very careful about, because without association we would not have been devotees, and without giving good association now, we cannot expect to serve Srila Prabhupada the way we actually want to serve. Every devotee who is connected to Krishna consciousness in any part of the world, I am 100% sure that every single one of us, every single moment we are thinking how to reach new souls, how to preach Prabhupada's words, how to talk about Krishna to somebody new. And we are always scheming in our mind, how to touch new souls. We all want to do something new, right? And because everybody is continuously doing this, that is why ISKCON as an organization has been able to grow so fast, so large, right? Of course, it is a different managerial discussion that whether ISKCON should have grown so fast, so large, whether it would have been better if ISKCON had grown a little slowly. Those are different management discussions. But the fact of the matter is, because everyone has this zeal to preach Mahaprabhu's mission, and everybody is trying in their own way, so to speak, in an enterprising, entrepreneurial way. That is why our movement has been able to grow so large. But that entrepreneurial journey can be successful only if we ensure that this effort that we are putting in, that effort is always backed by the Vaishnava principle of compassion. By the Vaishnava principle of compassion. Hurting somebody with our words is as bad as eating meat, you know. You are not a compassionate soul by just by being a vegetarian. I mean, let's say you are a vegetarian and you go into a non-vegetarian restaurant and you start abusing people that, oh, you devils, you shall be born in the fires of hell. You're not going to make devotees like that. You're never going to make devotees like that, right? You know, no matter how logically correct you are, right? You may be logically very correct, but you're not going to make devotees like that because the very basic thing of compassion is lost, right? When Prabhupada used to give classes in Second Avenue, there would be people and I mean couples sitting at the end of the class and they would be hugging each other and sometimes kissing each other, you know, feeling a little romantic at that point of time. Just imagine if somebody dared to do something, even 10% of that in our temples today, what you would have done with that person or that couple, right? Let alone if that was some Indian temple. I mean, some temple in India where there are thousands of devotees sitting, right? So, somewhere we are losing that compassion. We are becoming like robots dictated by the algorithms that are written down in Srila Prabhupada's books. We made them into some lifeless algorithms and we have programmed ourselves like robots. But robots did not make ISKCON. Robots did not run this movement, and robots will not sustain. Right? What is the difference between an artificial intelligence and a human intelligence? It is that human touch. That is what makes us different. Right? You know, I had asked a question to ChatGPT. Did I say this before, Sadeh Prabhu? That I had asked a question to ChatGPT that if you ChatGPT for 24 hours you could become human, then what would you do? You could write your own prompts, you could take your own decisions. Then how would you spend your 24 hours? It's a question I had asked. Did I say this before, Sadhguru?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
But
So I had,
we'll be interested to hear what ChatGPT said.
yeah. So, our natural expectation and my expectation as well was ChatGPT would say that, I would do such and such research and manipulate myself to become the king of the world or the richest man in the world, something like that, those numbers that we use to define success in our lives, right? Logically, if you are as powerful as ChatGPT, you would be thinking like that. What if I had all the money in the world that I could build the most beautiful temple? I would build TOVP myself, right? This is the kind of things we would be thinking because we have been programmed like this, right? And then we would say that, oh, TOVP is meant for Krishna, no? So that is why this whole thing is Krishna consciousness. This is how we would be thinking, and this is the logic that we'll be giving ourselves, right? But you know what ChatGPT said? ChatGPT said that, the first thing I'll do is I'll try to feel the beauty and the experience of touch. The experience of hugging my loved ones, the experience of walking barefoot on a sea beach and letting the waves wash my feet. I would feel the breeze from the sea brushing past my hair. Things that we don't even think about, Prabhu. Do we ever even think about these things? We've taken these things so much for granted. We've taken these things so much for granted, right? Our sense of touch is for granted, our sense of seeing, our sense of being happy, feeling happy, our sense of that joie. We've taken all of these things for granted. These small, small experiences, we've taken them all for granted. And now that we rely so much on ChatGPT to teach us how to take the next steps in our lives, ChatGPT gives me this answer. You know, so I was thinking that if in future there is a time when, like, I ask a question to ChatGPT, ChatGPT can also ask an intelligent question to me. And in that question, if ChatGPT ever asked me that, as a human being, what does it feel like to stand by the seashore during a setting sun and the sea breeze softly brushing past your hair? What is that feeling like? If this was the question that ChatGPT asked me, would I be able to answer it? Will I be able to answer it? The fact is, no, I will not have that answer, because we have never tried to take that feeling of my sense, or my presence, not sense, of my presence, of being alive, right? We've just taken birth and we've started running races, right? We are running one sort of race through our school, and then through our college, then through our jobs. We are just running somebody's race, but not for a single moment are we spending to understand and appreciate the gift of life that Krishna has given us. And only when we acknowledge that we are alive can we truly be grateful for what we have. And when we are grateful for what we have, our devotional service will be in a better mood. And what we actually want to achieve in Krishna consciousness, of serving Guru Maharaj better, of serving Srila Prabhupada's instruction better, by reaching to larger community, by understanding and empathizing with the larger community, can we really do that? Otherwise, we'll all be running behind numbers like, oh, I am the best books distributor in the world, so that means I am more Krishna conscious. No, it doesn't happen that way. It never has, it never does, it never will. So let us all come together and let us understand with a human way of how we can truly be a devotee through empathy, through compassion, through gratitude. Hare Krishna. So I will now open myself up to questions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Sri ARADHYA Bhagavan Prabhu. I consider this Srimad Bhagavatam Katha to be a self-introspection Katha, that we all have to look within our hearts, within ourselves, and figure out where we are. Well, thank you so much for this wealth of wisdom shared with us all today. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked on mute to ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Krishna. Hamsadita Prabhu, please give me on mute. Hamsadita Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please kindly accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to the Guru Prabhupada and all glories to wonderful Asamo devotees. I came in a little bit late, and during the class, I hear you smiling a lot. But when you are giving the analogy about ChatGPT, I feel something. I feel at this point you become so sober, and I don't know, for some reasons I become so emotional because I will never think that ChatGPT will give these answers to you, and it was so very deep that I have this feeling that I don't know how to explain it. And like you said, we are taking a lot of things for granted. And I just wanted to thank you for doing this analogy. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hamsadita Prabhu. Mitravinda Devi, please give me on mute.
I have one request. Can devotees, open their cameras? I mean, if you don't have issues.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to talk to.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, please turn on your cameras if possible. Yes.
Haribol, yes.
Hare Krishna, yes.
Hare Krishna. My question, my God. Thank you so much for class. It was really wonderful, truly inspiring, and very insightful. My question is regarding emotions and this process. My understanding is bhakti yoga is the yoga of emotions, and for us to learn how to use that devotionally. Your insights into how we should treat one another is another layer of information, not widely given, but absolutely necessary. And keeping those doors open to association in the right way, in a loving and compassionate way. I look forward to hearing more from you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I just want to add something to what Mitravinda Mataji said, that it is very true that devotees should not be emotional. And this part, that a devotee does not have emotions, is something that is very, very badly misinterpreted. Bhakti should definitely be about feelings, but where we say that devotees should not have, not devotees, bhaktas, bhakti should be done without emotion, this contradictory kind of a thing that we are in. It primarily talks about sentimentalism. We must be very pragmatic in understanding the whole way in which we serve Krishna. We see every human being or every living entity as a soul. Those philosophical areas, we should not be using sentiments. That is what it means. But at the same time, a devotee cannot be somebody without a compassion. If your heart has become hard, and you don't have compassion, then there is something seriously wrong in your sadhana. You know, it needs to go for a recheck. You know, why am I a sadhu if I am not giving myself 100% in service of the society? You know, there is no point in being a sadhu. Then I am just another selfish businessman if I am going about minding my own business, right? That is the first and most important point of being a sadhu, right? So the whole purpose of being a sadhu is defeated the moment I start being selfish, right? So this dichotomy needs intelligence, and I believe that it is something that Krishna provides to us the more we submit ourselves in Krishna consciousness. The more seriously we are pursuing our sadhana, Krishna naturally gives this intelligence to us to how to be compassionate but not emotionally stupid and insensitive. So that is how I look at it.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Radhyavaban Prabhu. Well, just like Hamzadita Prabhu was saying.
Just one thing, I'm very curious, you know. Every time I want to see that one devotee, I forget his name, that devotee who
drives.
Yes, what is his name? Govinda.
Govinda.
Govinda Prabhu. Yes, I like his smiling face. I didn't see him today.
Yes.
No, even Hamsadutta Prabhu's smiling face is very nice, by the way.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Govinda Prabhu is always here, even though he's behind his truck, but he's always here Monday through Friday. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But Prabhuji, like I was trying to say in the beginning, at the end of your class when you opened the floor for questions or reflections, I was, and I am still, quite emotional in the sense that what you just said is what we need. And it's not like me speaking here do not know that that is what I need to do. But oftentimes I fail to do them. So I feel guilty. And at the same time, I pray that this guilt or weakness that I have may be corrected so I can become a better devotee. But during your Srimad Bhagavatam Katha sharing, you did ask a rhetorical question. And you asked if anybody would like to answer. I did not give an answer because I wanted the flow of the sharing. But you asked a question: has anyone made a devotee just by defeating that individual in the debate? And I would say yes, it has happened.
Okay.
A couple times.
I'll just interrupt you one point over here.
Okay.
When I say defeat, you know, I mean that way of, you know, that high-handedness that, you know, I know better, you don't know.
Oh, no, yeah.
That insight.
I understand. Listen, okay, let me finish what I was saying. I'll say yes a couple times.
Okay.
But this is the problem. Okay. The problem is not making someone a devotee for 1 minute or 1 second. We want to keep devotees.
Yes.
And so I've said this a couple times before, that there is something we call moonlight lady. You know, people go out, men especially, go out looking for women, and they want to find a very beautiful, attractive woman. And the ancient days when there was no electricity, when the moon comes out, that is when men go out hunting for women. So you go out, and under the moonshine, you see a very beautiful looking lady. And you approach this lady. Come the morning when the sun comes out, you realize that the beauty you found last night is not the beauty you see in this morning. See? So what that saying means is that if you are attractive, you could be married by a man. But if you are a lady and you are attractive, you could be married. But when you get married and you do not know how to cook, you do not know how to do anything, then you're going to lose that marriage. So I've heard Ratnat Maharaj say it. My own Gurudev, Bhattacharya Swami Maharaj, said it many times. Srila Prabhupada said it many times, that the philosophy may attract people, but our character is what will make them either stay or leave.
Yes.
And this is the problem. So my question is, with all my long talk, my question is, now that we know that the philosophy is so beautiful, anybody you describe the philosophy to, they will appreciate it. But when they come closer and they do not see that we ourselves are practicing the philosophy, how would they stay? They will not stay. So my question is, how do we walk our talk? Like we say here in the state, how do we practice what we preach? That is just my simple question with all my long talk, because I feel that oftentimes we do not live what we say. And
we do not practice what we preach. In many times, we do not practice what we preach. See, Prabhu, there are a couple of things, there are certain personal observations from me as well, from my side, is that, first of all, our system, we as an organization, our system needs to improve. That is a very important thing, We have glorified ourselves in terms of numbers, book distribution numbers, this numbers, that numbers, how many congregation you have, getting Bhakti Shastri certificate is more important than actually reading Bhagavad Gita. These kinds of things, we have done those institutionalizations, right? Which has its advantages. I mean, I am not against it. There are advantages for that. There are some practical reasons why these metrics have come into place, but that is a management perspective, right? And everybody who is walking in through the doors of the ISKCON temple does not necessarily have to be a part of these metrics. Krishna consciousness is not metrics, right? It is not our job, KRAs and KPIs, right? It is not our performance index that is going to take us back to Krishna consciousness. You can be the best book distributor in the world and still not go to Golok Vrindavan, right? There is no Shastra which can come to us and say that the best book distributor of ISKCON will definitely go to Golok Vrindavan in this lifetime. Nobody can make that claim, right? Nobody can make that claim. Can you make that claim, Sadhdev Prabhu? You also can't. No one can, right? So we put ourselves in this kind of corporatized and this metrics kind of a world. So that is the system aspect of it. And then there is the other aspect, is that we as preachers, because we are a part of this system, sometimes we percolate this on the people on whom we are preaching. Because we have to survive in this system as a congregation leader, right? So we also kind of translate this on people who are following us in a way. So we as preachers have very important role to play over here, is that we need to start being a little bit of a shield and telling our people that it is okay that if in your whole life you don't sell even one book, it is okay. What matters is that with sincerity, you have tried to sell one book to 500,000 individuals, and you have failed every time, but you have not given up. And through that, you have developed the quality of humility. So we as preachers, it is very important for us to value these human endeavors. We should not be only looking at our congregation or our personal space, those devotees who follow us. We should not look them in terms of numbers of, uh, how much donation they are making to my project, or how many books they are distributing from my personal quota, or how they are helping me in my project performance to my superior temple management. So that is my responsibility as a preacher. When I give this set of value to the people to whom I am preaching, naturally this value will also stay with them and percolate to the next generation that they are working with. Another thing as a preacher that I feel is very, very important is that, we expect our congregation and our supporters to be there with the temple or with the system when the temple or the system needs them, right? Whether it is in terms of labor, whether it is in terms of money, or any other support, you know. At the same time, we also have to understand that it is our responsibility as preachers or leaders to be beside each one of our congregation member when they need us. And when they need us, they can need us for very small, small things. Even maybe husband, wife fighting with one another, you know. They can be needing us, and we have to make ourselves available for that. And over there also, we have to be mature enough to know how much to give ourselves. Sometimes in our immaturity, by being present in between that husband and wife, they ultimately get divorced. Maybe if I did not go, they would have stayed back. Because I went and I am an immature guy and I have went and said, see, Prabhupada has said women are stupid. If I do that kind of a donkey's work, that couple have gone into a divorce. So that maturity is also needed for ourselves. So this is at our level that we can do. And then at a personal level, at a personal sadhana level, then there is only one word: practice, practice, practice. We just have to sincerely practice ourselves. The most important thing is that we have to be honest and genuine to ourselves too. None of us are pure devotee. Neither are you a pure devotee, nor I am a pure devotee. Let's be very honest. Right? So that honesty we must have in our heart. And we have to be genuine in everything. Every day morning when we wake up, we have to wake up with that genuineness. Then only we can be a little better than what I was yesterday. And then rest, Krishna will take care. You just have to have genuine love for Krishna. Rest, Krishna will take care. And that faith is important, that Krishna will take care. So that
Well-
would be the answer. I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, yes, it answers a lot. It answers much more than I actually asked for. But I wish that other devotees also may have something to ask or to share. Because
if there are
see, I'm a bit emotional, if to say the least, because the most painful thing in this world is to lose your guru, to lose your spiritual master. You know? And when I lost my spiritual master, some people say, Vani, important instructions, don't worry about Bapu. Excuse my language. That doesn't make sense to any intelligent person. The words came from a form, and I will not let anybody tell me that I shouldn't worry about the form. So when my spiritual master left the planet, it was a big blow, and still is. Then your guru came in. His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. He came and he took us all under his wings. I remember the last time he came and met all of us in Washington, D.C. We all went and met with him, and it was so beautiful, so colorful. Like you were rightly saying, what ChatGPT can say, me as a human being, I can say the difference is the touch. So when we're with His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj, his smile and the love coming from his heart. And I am seeing a bit of that love from you. So I'm just praying with all my long talk. I'm just praying that somehow our gurus, the parampara, the devotees in general, they will encourage us to live a life that represents these great souls. Like when someone sees me and that person knew my guru, he should be able to tell that you must be the disciple of this person. You must be the disciple of that person. So I'm just praying. I don't know how Krishna will answer my prayer, but thank you. Thank you for speaking, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
thank you so much for that heartfelt message. Yes. A disciple's greatest service to his Guru Maharaj is just taking his mood and his feelings forward. Yes. Thank you so much for that.
Dear devotees, anyone with something to ask or to share, please? Well, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves. And we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation and gratitude to our revered brother, His Grace ARADHYA Bhagavan Prabhu, for sharing this depth of wisdom and the love with us all today. And we all pray that we will become doers instead of just talkers. So please, you may all unmute and we all offer pranams. Jai Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Vancha Kalpataru,
Hare Krishna.